Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It's Geoff, Mosher, and Adam Caplan. That's right, Inside the Birds. Adam, it's me and you. We've had so much different content from Andrew DeCecco back. We've had me and Sam. We've had you doing your mock draft. Nice to be back on you and me here, Inside the Birds.
Yeah, Intel with Greg Cosell. Loving it. It's interesting because when we do shows with Greg, and it's positional reviews, you see fans chime in. They listen because they want to know about their team. And plenty of teams need edge rushers. And we did the D-tackle edge rushers. I think what's inside backers coming out today or linebacker
today on Friday.
Yep, which happens to be still a need, not a major need, but a need clearly for the future and for now for the Eagles. So this is the time of year. And next week we've got corners and safeties. And after that, we'll do all offense.
That's right. We move on just to offense. All right. And I also want to thank not only Greg, but we're getting great job from Sam Finkel, our analytics expert, and we decided to do sort of, the way we break down prospects with Greg, what we do, I asked Sam to do from an analytics standpoint, the same position groups. So Greg dropped, we did the show on edges and interior defensive linemen with Greg. Then we did an analytics look at edges and defensive linemen in the draft with Sam, and he created these what they called scatter charts that show all of the athleticism and the college production. And you get the four quadrants. The guys who are on the upper right are testing really well and very productive in college. And then you have your bottom right, which is that they're maybe not athletic, but they're really productive, like a Derek Barnett. And then you have your top left of guys who don't produce a lot, but are very athletic, like your Nolan Smiths, right? Because you can find some real gems there. Jalix Hunt would be someone. And then the bottom left quadrant would be low athleticism, low production, which is always the area you'd like to avoid, especially early in the draft. So we're doing that for every position. Sam's got it. I shared a screen at him so that people could see the graph itself, the charts, because not only does he compare this year's edge class against each other, but against past first-round picks and then past 100 picks from the last 4 years. So it's really good stuff. Sam's doing a great job. Appreciate all the great feedback we've got, and Sam's really excited to keep doing the work there. So between Sam and Andrew and Greg and our stuff and everything else, we got this pre-draft cycle covered really, really well.
No, it's great. The analytics series is so interesting. Athleticism versus production. It's honestly what I think teams struggle with, because if a guy is unbelievable production, you have to go through every play. Like, they're graded by every play. They don't, the clubs have that's how they come up with a grade. And then there are the times when a guy's not very productive, but the tape is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. And then vice versa. So it's a very interesting business. There are reasons why teams miss, and we'll get more into that as we get closer to the draft. But this is a really cool series that Sam did for us.
Yeah, and we talked about the 2017 edge rushers, Adam. If you recall, the two ones that stand out are Derek Barnett and Charles Harris, and they couldn't be more different. Harris was Mr. Body Beautiful, explosive testing, all that athleticism, not as productive as a guy like Barnett, who set the record at Tennessee. He broke Reggie White's record for sacks, highly productive, but did not blow it up from a testing standpoint. And so teams had to decide, what's my flavor that I want? Do I want the athleticism? Do I want the production? Now, neither of them wound up having great careers. They've had some glimpses and flashes, which goes to show you, it doesn't matter if you choose one. You might not be right on either, or you could be right on both. Like you said, it's a tough things for teams to figure out.
By the way, Charles Harris will get a Super Bowl ring.
He will?
Oh yeah, that's the way it works. If you played,
you
get one. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, if you played in the game, let's say it was week 1, they cut the guy.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting one. I mean, barring something highly unforeseen.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, yeah, and Greg Cosell's admitted it. Greg really liked Charles Harris's tape from college, as a lot of teams did. That's why he was a first-round pick. And he had that one nice year for the Lions.
Yep.
And that was it. And then Barnett, I mean, some people would say, he's probably at times he's played better with the Texans than he did ever for the Eagles. Though, of course, he had the big play, one really nice play in the Super Bowl. But you never know. Production. And here, before we move on, Barnett did not have good measurables. He had shorter arms for an edge rusher. Sure, then you would ideally want. It's something we're going to also talk more about, arm length and how even an inch shorter than you would like, clubs will just, if the left tackle's got less than 34-inch arms, it's going to be a problem. Usually it's an issue.
Very often is. All right. So, and Andrew is going to be doing the Maryland Pro Day. So look for his daily DeCecco Daily podcast to be about the Eagles staff that were there and any standout prospects from Maryland. I know they got a good couple of good linemen who are going to test well. So let's get into the Eagles' recent signings, Adam, because it's funny. We do a pod, we go on Football at 4 with Mike Gill. This literally happened. Mike Gill says to me, "Well, what do the Eagles need left to do?" I said, "This was about 3 days ago." And I said, "Well, there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to continue to address the offensive line after losing Becton. They need those veteran swing right guard, right tackle. They could still use another interior lineman if they want." And then lo and behold, about an hour after that interview is done, the Eagles and Kendall Lamb come to an agreement on a contract. This is an interesting guy. And then before we break down Kendall, on Thursday, the Eagles announced that they bring back Matt Pryor, one of the 5 draft picks from that vaunted 2017 draft, right? It was 18 draft. Goddard in the second round. It was Maddox in the 4th round. It was Pryor, Mailata, and somebody else who panned out pretty well there. It was a really great draft for the Philadelphia.
Oh, the 28, they only had 5 picks, but Pryor, although Pryor really got off to a rough start.
Right.
And then stout as he does often, I did not talk to a team that saw Matt Pryor as a guard. But stout, it's just like he sees things that others don't see. Who knows? Yeah. But no, it's funny because I did Mike Gill's show, I think on Tuesday, and we were updating the roster needs, which we'll take another look at because things have changed a little bit. And I said they still need a guard center. They have to get one by training camp. Doesn't have to happen now, but by the time they get to training camp, they're going to need another guard center. Now, they didn't get a guard center in Matt Pryor. Matt Pryor is a guard right tackle. Mm-hmm. He's not a left tackle. He's played it before. He's just not athletic enough as you want. But in the end, Kendall Lamb will be that swing tackle. He's a left tackle, right tackle. He's not a guard. I'd actually talked to someone who coached him over the years. He's been in a number of teams. The problem with these journeyman types is that the longer they play, the more the warts show up. But he's a guy, if you need him for 3 or 4 games, he'll get you out of a tough spot. He's had some seasons where he's had to play a lot, and it's why he keeps moving on. When you have backups, there's a saying with personnel people, you're now looking for his replacement. It's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. And he just he's because he's got the versatility and he's a good 6 lineman, but he's not a starting player. And when you're signing backups, there's a reason that why they're backups. We need to make clear here. So you're hoping that your starters don't get hurt, but the bottom line is he can play left and right tackle. He started a number of games, and he's going to be there. Now, Pryor, of course, is a right tackle guard. So the only thing missing to me would be right now is I know Dickerson could play center because he did it in college. With Juergens' injury history, which we outlined coming out of Nebraska, which was a concern, and now he's coming back from back surgery. It would behoove them to, and it didn't work out with Dylan McMahon, unfortunately, who's now with the Rams, who was a center. They need to look at that position. That's one thing before the season starts. At the latest, they got to add somebody to play center.
Yeah, I mean, Kendall Lamb, Adam, you just nailed it on the head. I remember watching some Miami Dolphins tape 2 years ago before the Eagles played them. Remember, they played them, I think, in week 6 or 7 of that year, and Lamb had to be playing, I think, either Armstead was hurt or, they're always hurt on the offensive line. He was in there, and I kept looking for the number because I wasn't familiar with him. I'm like, this guy can block you a little bit. He'll get beat a little bit, but then he'll block you. You're just perfect. It's sort of, he'll hold his own if you have a good offensive line and he needs to come in there and play. He's not going to wreck your whole operation. Like some offensive linemen, are just going to completely wreck your operation, right? He can fit in. He can hold his own. I'm surprised he's only been a tackle in his career only because at 6'3", 308. He's not like Fred Johnson, who was 6'7" and way more than 308. You see some 6'3", 300 guards in the league, plenty of them. I mean, look at Mekhi Becton and Dickerson. So, but he is a tackle, as you said. That's where I saw him play his tape, and I think he'll, as long as his play is good. I guess he was coming off of an injury, right? There was something going on with him that they had to make sure he was medically.
I'm not sure. He's also older. He does turn 33 in June.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's taller than 6'3". He's actually 6'5", just to be clear. He's actually
all right. He's listed. Oh, 6'5". That's correct. My eyes are failing me.
Yeah. He's definitely 6'5". No, he's definitely a tackle. The coach that I talked to, coach him many years ago, early in his career, he explained to me that liked the person a lot, very coachable, good dude.
Yeah.
This is his, I think, at least 15. That's just the way. He's a journeyman. This is what it is.
Yeah. And we know Steltman talked to Andrew DeCecco reported that they had a Zoom recently before he signed, so they were getting to know each other. He started off in Houston, if I'm not mistaken, right, Kendall Lamb?
Yeah, it was the Texans, then the Browns, then the Titans, then the Dolphins. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this should be his 5th team.
Yep.
He started a lot. I mean, he started 44 games. He started 7 last year he was with the Dolphins actually 3 years.
Right.
He's a plug and play guy. Like someone gets hurt. Hey, we know you can do it. But again, there's a reason why he's not been a full-time starter, because he's just not. There's a difference between a starter on the offensive line and the first guy off the bench. There's something that makes him not a starter, and this is why he keeps moving on.
By the way, he has a touchdown in his career, so something to watch for.
Touchdown. Wait. Oh, he's one. Okay. One with the Browns. Was it a catch though?
It was a catch. It was a target, a reception. He actually also has a 7-yard catch in as a rookie with the Texans. So he's got 2 catches for 8 yards and a touchdown. Dennis Kelly. Here we go.
What? Oh wow! Herman's too. Todd did it, right?
Herman, that's right.
Yeah. So there you go. So to me right now, as we move on here, honestly, offensively, they could get away with, and we're just talking about this year only. We're not talking about the future. We'll talk more about the future, about what they need to do down the road. We'll probably look at it a little bit harder before the draft. That'll give us a better idea, because the draft's always about the future. But for this team right now, for this season only, it would behoove them. They don't have to do it, but it would be nice if they got one more veteran at receiver, because Johnny Wilson's he's just there to block until something changes. That's really what he does. He's good at it, really good at it, as a matter of fact. And Anaya Smith is only a slot receiver, and they could use one more outside guy, quite frankly, at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting back real quick to the line, I don't see Matt Pryor as someone who's definitely making the team just because he's coming back.
He's not this late.
Yeah, they got a nice little depth. If you want to talk about guys who are guards or guard tackles, I mean, don't forget about Darian Kennard in there, right? We've mentioned Steen. They've got Kenyon Green now. They bring in Kendall Lamb here. They'll probably draft a guy. We'll see what they do with Trevor Keegan if they want to cross-train him to the right side. Is there somebody else? I feel like I'm missing another interior offensive lineman that they've had their hands on. But either way, they'll probably draft somebody. I think Matt Pryor he's back. They're familiar with him. He seemingly has played better away because his last time with the Eagles, he was not very, very good, to be honest with you. Amazingly, the guy starts at left tackle last year for the Bears, which, the Bears didn't want that.
We have it a pretty good authority. Like that is such a stretch.
Yeah.
He was drafted to play left tackle, but because of the body type, he kind of morphed into, because Stout saw him playing inside. Mm-hmm. But no, he's really a right. He's again, to move on here to finish this off. He could play left tackle if you need him to. He's best off if you want to win when he's got to play him at guard or right tackle. That's how you win with the guy. And then again, because he's another journeyman who, by the way, the Colts paid him a lot of money many years ago.
I remember that.
I remember us talking about it. Like, are you serious? Like, Chris Ballard, that was a stunner.
Yeah.
That might have been a Frank Reich special. I don't know, but that was a surprise when he. In fact, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this Eagles twice, the Colts, the Niners. I forgot about them, and the Bears, as you said.
Sky Motor Cars in Westchester is a different sort of dealership. All it takes is one look at their Highline pre-owned vehicles that people over the country want and need. Owner Brett Schulter, make sure you don't spend a dime of your money before you purchase the car. Sky Motor Cars allows you to make all the decisions regarding your next vehicle. At Sky Motor Cars, you never have to spend more than necessary. Visit SkyMotorCars.com today or call 610-918-7225.
All right. So, like you said, on offense, they still could use someone in the wide receiver, a veteran wide receiver, you think? Or just a slot guy?
No, well, see, it's funny you say that because based on Kellen Moore's history before he was with the Eagles, he was a big slot guy, like in terms of play calling.
Mm-hmm.
But, Naismith got hurt. The Eagles were so heavy 12 personnel comparatively to other teams. All they really did is Dotson came in. He's the third. Devontae could obviously line up. He's been very effective in his career. The data on him playing inside is very good. I forgot to mention Danny Gray, but he hasn't really proven anything as an NFL player. I know the Eagles like him. He can run, but he's not a slot receiver.
Right.
This Elijah Cooks is a big dude. He'll play the X position. He'll vie for a spot behind Brown. But just in general, they could use one more guy for competition depth in training camp.
Yeah.
As an outside, I don't think slot really matters at this point.
No, you just move guys around, play them in the Z, move. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I always think it's helpful to have like a bona fide slot who knows that position and can play it. But I suppose they got away without having one last year, and they won the Super Bowl.
I mean, they could get one, but at this point, it won't cost them anything. Usually, some of the deals I was looking at 40 contracts earlier this week. I'm laughing. It's so true. Once you get to the second or third week in free agency, it's like, hey, dude, we'd love to have you. If you want to wait after the draft, you're getting a veteran minimum. If you want to sign before the draft, you might get a signing bonus. You may not.
Yeah,
that's where you're at 3 weeks in.
Speaking of contracts, how about the money that Stephon Diggs got this late in free agency with the Patriots, coming off of an injury?
Yeah, coming off an ACL again because Mekhi Becton's deal.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it could be even if it's.
I don't respond to anything I see out there until I actually see the deal because the Becton deal was really 1 year, $7 million.
Right.
To be honest with you, just because I brought it up, I'll give folks what it really looks like. It was sent to me. So take a look at this.
Yeah, that was originally reported. The Mekhi Becton deal was sort of reported as a 2-year, $20 million deal.
Yeah. Well, technically it is, but it's the guarantees are only in year one. You get to $5 million signing bonus. Base salary is $1.94 million. That's also guaranteed. So the full guarantee at signing is only $6.94 million.
Right.
Now I find this because this is amazing to me. To make up the rest of the money to get it up to $10 million. This is super. You don't see per game roster bonuses this big. He's got $180,000 per game in for roster bonuses, totaling just over $3 million. Yeah, and Mekhi was pretty healthy last season. If he stays healthy, he can make $9.5 million to $10 million this season. But the true guarantee at signing is only $6.94 million. Now next year's salary there's no guarantees. As a matter of fact, the $10 million in cash is base salary. He's got roster bonus 5th day free agency, and then he also has got per game roster bonuses. So it's simple. If the guy stays healthy and he winds up starting, or as long as he dresses, he's got a chance to make a lot of money. But if not, if he continues to get hurt, the deal will be very small. So
right.
I get what the Chargers. I'll be interested to see what they do with Trey Pipkins, who moved from tackle to guard last season.
Mm-hmm.
With Becton's injury history, I'll be fascinated to see what they do because they've had quite the offseason. They've been very aggressive.
Yeah,
a lot of holes, and they're a team. I'll tell you what, they're a team that might be knocking on the door to making not a Super Bowl run, but they could be one of the top 4 or 5 teams right now in the AFC.
Yeah, I mean that offensive line's real legit. They got Najee Harris to run the ball like the way they want to. It'll be up to Herbert to make it work there. They need a little bit more offensive playmaking, but McConkey had a really nice rookie year. So yeah, they could be. You're right. They could take that step up.
All right. So getting back just real quick, let's get to the Eagles a tight end. So here's the deal. It's real simple. If they wind up trading Goddard before the draft, which would be ideal, then they must draft a tight end, and there's nothing out there. There's not a starting tight end out there that's of quality.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're going to have to take a tight end early. It doesn't have to be in the first round, but they have to take a guy they know could play right away. Like, they're good for depth. Like, in terms of backups, they got their backups. They need a starting tight end. Now, I don't know if you have heard. We've heard. We put this out. I know we've been quoted in a lot of places, just so folks know that he was given permission to seek a trade. They've tried to move his contract. He's 30 years old. He's making over $14 million, not guaranteed this season. It was going to be hard to bring him back on this, as we talked about 3 months ago. He didn't ask for a trade, by the way, just to be clear. We're not saying he did. We're saying the Eagles have given permission to seek a trade because they're trying to move him. I know my old compatriot from ESPN, Josina Anderson, put out the story about something about, and we've heard similar. In fact, I was joking with someone from another team. I think Josina said, like, the Eagles are willing to take something for 2027.
Yeah, future pick.
I was joking with our Patreon people, and I also said the same thing to a friend of mine with another team. I think Howie would probably take a 2030 fifth rounder just to move the contract. Now, is there a path for him to come back? I'd be stunned if they cut him. If they can't trade him by the draft, why would you cut him?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to go back to what we said about Ertz, though, where it looked like they were going to trade him.
Right.
All these, and the draft came and went, and they didn't trade him. And everybody said, oh, you guys are BSers. He's going to be on the team. And then it went all the way into training camp, and he reported to training camp. And then he finally got traded after he actually played regular season games, right? He caught a touchdown. He caught a touchdown, right? And then they traded him that day.
Remember that? So the rumors are that the Eagles going to trade him that week.
Right?
Did they play Buffalo? Was that what it was? The Bucks. I think it was the Bucks, maybe.
Yes, I think you're right.
A Monday night game, something like that, or a Sunday night game. Sunday night game
might have been.
But anyway, I was like, they're going to let him play.
Yeah,
and they claim they left it up to Zach to play.
Uh-huh.
That was crazy. Wow. That was like, because you know what happens? See, if they're absolutely like, we're trading him no matter what, you probably won't let him work out. Because I know from covering these things, sometimes clubs will tell the agent, hey, listen, we're gonna do right by him. We're gonna do our best to trade him, but we can't have him working out. What if a dumbbell falls on his foot?
Right.
You can't. I mean, this goes back to Steve McNair, where they were trying. Remember, they moved him to the Ravens.
Yep.
And they would not let him. They basically
in a facility. I remember that.
Yeah, it got ugly. That never should have happened. But yeah, we'll see what happens. This thing's totally fluid. But tight end obviously becomes a major need if they move him. And then honestly, defensively, it's just kind of. The Eagles are so young on defense. Really, right now with BG's retirement, they're youngest, and Slay gone. They have the youngest defense in the NFL, and I think it's by a wide margin.
Yeah.
So again, now because they did this last year, and you got to use history as a clue. They don't have to have a veteran D tackle. It would be a good thing. I know people are talking about. I know fans of Calais Campbell, who's an all-time favorite of ours here on Inside the Birds, but that would be a great signing. He was trying to win a Super Bowl. But bottom line is they're light at D tackle, and they're gonna have to do something before the season starts at D tackle.
Oh, yeah, and they're light at corner. I mean, outside corner, even with Adoree Jackson. Still, I consider them light at safety when you're talking about from a talent standpoint, not just the bodies. Really, it's Sidney Brown, Tristan McCullum, and Reed Blankenship right now, and that's you got to add to that position, even if you're going to draft.
Hey, by the way, you know what's interesting? That Avonte Maddox, right, who signed with the Lions. He may wind up playing safety there because they're really deep at corner when they're all healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's a nickel, so sorry, Vic Fangio. I need to correct myself. Yeah, nickel versus safety. Now he's not a corner, but they really need help at safety. They are really light at the safety position. So yeah, Melifonwu moved on. Ife Melifonwu, who's a big Dan Campbell loved him. It took him a while to develop. So he moved on. So, yeah, he may want to play safety for the Lions. Who knows?
I was actually wondering when they signed him if that was what they had in mind because of what you just said there. I was a little surprised because the Lions had so many injuries and Avonte Maddox has a long history of injuries. But he's not guaranteed to make the team, but it is possible that they had him signed with safety.
Right, because they're great for their starters, Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. But you know what's funny? They think Brian Branch is an outstanding cover outside corner and not a nickel. He could play nickel, but they
Right.
think right now he's a safety. But I just wanted to bring it up because it's interesting. I did not think he would be playing safety for them, but it would not surprise me based on they really have nothing behind Joseph and Branch.
Right. Right. And Adam, finishing this off, I mean, inside linebacker, this is the one spot
Right.
where right now, if they had to line up and play a game, and they don't, but just for the argument's sake, how could they? They have two healthy bodies there. They have Zach Bond, all 17.5 million of them, and they have Jeremiah Trotter ready to go. But Nakobe Dean still coming back from his injury. Ben Van Sumeren still coming back from his injury.
By the way, fullback. Remember, they listed him as a fullback when they announced it.
That's a good point. They don't even have him listed as linebacker anymore. And then after Jeremiah Trotter and Zach Bond with no Oren Burks back, you're talking now about what's the guy's name? Dallas Gant.
Dallas Gant, right. Yeah. So here's my thought process before we move on to the secondary and close it out here. They may because as a fullback you don't have to run like you do at linebacker because he's coming off a major knee injury. We'll see what happens in training camp. We'll see if he's able to practice, if he's lining up only at fullback, or if they're going to line him at both positions. But did he do a good job as a fullback? And as Greg Cosell told us from whoever he spoke with, apparently he's got great hands.
Yeah, that's true. They could put the old Dan Klecko switcheroo on him. You're a fullback. No, wait, we need you at DT. You go back to fullback now.
If he does that, we're getting Dan. We'll get Dan on anyway. He was great when he was on with us with Patreon. But yeah, he was. What did he? By the way, do you remember what he said? Did he say he hated playing fullback? I could have sworn he said that.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah. Ben's a really good athlete, so we'll see what happens with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, corner, safety, still thin here. But I think these were two spots you mentioned were also kind of buyer's markets for just a bunch of guys who you just sign and bring to camp, and maybe something works out for you. But it does feel like these will be areas where they want to hit at some point in the draft.
By the way, and I'm not saying they would cut him because right now he's competing for a starting job, but Adoree Jackson's contract is so small; it's even smaller than I thought.
Oh wow! All right.
Yeah, it's just under 1.8 million guaranteed. I mean, he got 1 million guaranteed of it, so over 50% of it. But he's going to make less than 2 million this season.
Wow!
So,
wow, that's impressive. Okay,
So I'm thinking, we know how the Eagles have liked him. We've talked about him. I don't know how many times, but it was a long time ago. I remember whatever year it was, the Eagles were on Adoree Jackson, and he actually confirmed it because when he talked to the Giants media that it was between the Eagles and the Giants when he signed with the Giants. But yeah, just I thought that was interesting. So hey, guy wants to win a Super Bowl. Eagles have always liked him, so good for him to not belabor it and try to get more money. He's made a lot of money, by the way. I mean, that's not been the problem.
Absolutely. All right, that's our look at where the Eagles are. Mekhi Becton out, Avonte Maddox out, Matt Pryor back in, and Kendall Lamb in as the free agency wheels continue to churn. That's going to do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the Bird. Be sure to check out our friends at PHLSportsNation.com. They're enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams. For the fan, by the fan is their motto. So make sure you check them out at PHLSportsNation.com and on Twitter at PHL Sports Nation.